Hello, this is Neil Cobb, and today I'm going to go over one of the products created by FeildGuide. FeildGuide is a biodiversity computer vision software program, and the function that I'm going to go over today is called Batch. So 1 million natural history images are uploaded to the internet each week. About 2,500,000 of those have scientific names. So there's lots of raw images being created weekly, and a lot of those are nicely identified and can be used as training images to identify the unidentified images. And if you put that together with the fact that neural network processes are becoming more sophisticated on a weekly basis, this is only going to become a more and more powerful tool that we can use where we're not totally reliant upon human taxonomists who are extremely busy. So this shows the basic FeildGuide process for image harvesting, training, and computer identification. First, they harvest images off of the internet, and they use them for training purposes. They run them through typically initially a Visipedia neural network workflow. They add their own neural network training and then provide services either through their two phone apps, iOS or Android, or FeildguideBatch, which is a module sort of built into Symbiota and fed through a FeildGuide API. So FeildGuide is incorporated in the scan. All images can be processed, but the initial focus is on Lepidoptera. So let's go through the first steps. First, you need to log into Scan, and then you search your collections, and then select your collection. Right now, FeildguideBatch only processes one collection at a time. You must have editorial rights to that collection if you want to use it. Next, once you get to your collection, you click on the little pencil and it brings down the sitemap. And then you simply click on FeildguideBatch image processing. The next screen will show you a dialog box for entering the taxon that you want identified. And then you just click Initiate Process. Then it becomes a current job. Right now, if this doesn't work, it's because more than 10 people at any one time on Scan are running this process. And so that's the limit right now. But it does provide you with a status bar. So in this case, I'm almost done running Saturniids for the Colorado State University. And then once a job is run, you can view the results down below. So here's the results window, and they do either allow you to see the full results or the filtered results. The filtered results simply shows you only the records for which results were received from FeildGuide. So as FeildGuide adds more images each week, then this setting will become less relevant because every image you have, FeildGuide will suggest an identification. You can view all of this on the web, but I like to simply download the results as a CSV and run it in Excel and do a lot of massaging and sorting of the data. So here are the different columns. The record ID is simply a UUID provided by FeildGuide, so you can always track your image. There's a dialog box column here that if you check, you can actually have the FeildGuide suggested identification replace the human identification image. And so, but as I say up here, be careful, change IDs with caution. You can revert them back, but it is a hassle. So then it shows the current identification made by the human, what family they're in. You can click on the actual image to see them, and then radio button column here to designate which suggested identification you want to replace the previous identification. I say human identification over here, but it's possible that this could be a field guide determination, and you've simply replaced one field guide determination with one later that has a lot more training images, so it's a lot more confident. And then in the last column, it shows the field guide identification. And then after each suggested identification, it can show you some red highlights. So in this particular case, the current determination is the same as the human determination. So I'll pop down here. If there is not a radio button, it either means the name is not included in the scan LepNet thesaurus, or the name is the same as the current determination. So so there is no radio buttons. You don't need to replace this name with that name because they're the same name. It's possible that there's not a radio button simply because we don't have this in our thesaurus, which is weird because in this particular case, it's the same exact thing. Okay, well, there's over the next 6 months, there's going to be a lot of things that we need to check out, bugs and the like. Let's see. Okay, so if Field Guide is really confident, it's only going to give you one suggestion. And if it's not very confident, it will give you up to 3 suggestions. So the more suggestions you have, the lower the probability that Field Guide is really confident about the identification. Now on here, you could have actually the same exact specimen listed twice. These are all organized by images, but it might be that the first one is a dorsal and the second one is a ventral look. So here's some results, a result of a test run I did on CSU's images of adults. I ran it on all their Lepidoptera images, 2,039 to date. And the results were pretty good. So 72% came back with the same genus, and 47% came back with the same species. So Field Guide still has a ways to go. Factors leading to a lack of congruence between human and computer. 1, we just simply need more training images. 2, we need to improve the neural networks, for example, to distinguish ventral as well as dorsal, and incorporate the ability to actually have the process link both dorsal and ventral for one given image. Right now, it treats them as separate entities. We can add more filters like distribution range or phenology filters to help distinguish very similar looking species. And then there can be just a taxonomy mismatch between scan and Field Guide. They're just, and that is one of the challenges, is for both the taxonomy tables in Field Guide and scan, they're still incomplete. So future enhancements should include or will include running all images on scan for a given taxa, but not allow Field Guide name changes unless you have administrative rights for those records. So right now you can only do, unless you're a super admin like me, run images. Well, and even I have to do it on a collection by collection basis. But it would be nice to just say, pick a genus and have it Field Guide run for all of those images for specimens in that genus. So here's just a couple of examples of where I call it baby Field Guide, because it's truly in its initial stage of development. But the first case was actually a moth that we had in our collection at NAU. It was rough sorted as a sphingid. Field Guide identified it as a cossid and actually provided a species identification for it. So this is great. This is an example where we can, rough sort stuff and have Field Guide batch basically do an initial pass on identification of material. Down below is an example where it didn't do that great. So we're confident that the human identified the specimen correctly to species. Unfortunately, FeildGuide thought that it was in a different genus. So they're both archaeanines, so it's close, same subfamily, but still has a ways to go on some of these specimens. And let me just end by just saying that this is really exciting. This timeline shows modules developed by third-party entities and modules that we've incorporated specifically into Symbiota. And so we've, geolocate has been there for a long time, helping with georeferencing. Developing checklists have been in Symbiota for quite a while. Spatial module was implemented last year, and literally in the last couple of weeks, I think we can officially say that FeildGuide computer vision is integrated into at least the scan Symbiota site. In the future, we'll add phonology calculators, which will provide filtering, better filtering of FeildGuide images. And then hopefully down the road, Matt Yoder will give us our wonderful taxonomic services that will help out a lot of processes, including that in FeildGuide. And with that, I will end the webinar.